a youth representative and active member of the Nordic Youth Platform. Can I hold this instead? Can I hold it?
Yeah.
That's that. Thank you. Yes, Nordic Youth Platform, I'm going to talk about it later, but it's a Nordic-based initiative connecting young people all around the world to engage in education, dialogue, and different projects, both online and offline. Now, why am I here today speaking about this topic of digital tools for peace building? It's because our world faces a very complex, complex conflicts, polarization, and inequality. But it also holds the most digitally connected youth generation in history. Our theme today goes to the heart of this paradox, this connectivity, yet inconnectivity sometimes. So we must ask, why and how should we as young people harness digital platforms not just for communication or entertainment, but as the powerful tools for preventing conflict, building peace, and fostering justice? Yes. First, we will define what we mean by youth. The United Nations generally recognizes youth as those between 15 and 24. But in Europe, this discussion often extends it to the age of 29 years old. So what unites this generation is not just our age, but our identity as digital natives. Thank you. Yes. And also, let's define these digital tools, these digital platforms. These can be anything from social media networks such as Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, but it's also online consultation platforms where young people can share views on civic and political topics, as well as educational technologies where you can have e-learning tools and video conferencing and interactive apps. And then you also have innovative technologies like games, mobile applications, or virtual reality simulations where you can learn different topics. So these platforms all allow constant connectivity. They make it possible to share information instantly, to create communication beyond borders, and to mobilize people for common causes. But this also raises questions about responsibility, safety, and equity. Now, to understand the role of digital tools, in peace building, we must look at access and use. So, in Europe, 97% of youth between 16 and 29 have reported to use the internet daily. That's compared to the 88% of the total population. And in 2015, this number was down at 65%. This was in 2024, yes. And in 2024 as well, 88% of young Europeans use social networks actively. In 2023, in the United States, 95% of adolescents aged 13 to 17 had access to smartphones. And 96% of these adolescents use the internet daily, and almost half of them reported being online constantly. These numbers taken together show us two things. First being that young people are more connected than ever before. And the second, this connectivity is very powerful, but it's also fragile. It can empower peace or enable harm. So this is the picture of our modern world, a global generation living much of life online with opportunities for dialogues, but also vulnerabilities to radicalization, misinformation, and exclusion. So where do the problems lie? Among others, violence and exclusion is being promoted. Online hate speech can spill over into offline hostility, fueling divisions instead of reconciliation. There is also the issue of fragmented or false information. When youth cannot access reliable journalism or neutral perspectives, they do not get the full picture. This leaves them vulnerable to manipulation, deepening conflict dynamics rather than resolving them. Given these challenges, the question is not whether digital tools are relevant, but how we use them for peace building. Peace building in the digital era means, among others, creating dialogue across divides. Here, these online platforms allow youth from different backgrounds to meet, share stories, and break down prejudices before they harden into hate. Second of all, providing accurate information. Journalism and fact-based communication are essential for giving people a balanced perspective. As UNESCO has shown through their training camp in Yemen, training young journalists in peace journalism helps ensure reporting that's fair, sensitive, and constructive. Another point is building empathy and skill. So digital tools from all these serious games and virtual reality can provide immersive learning experiences that help young people practice conflict resolution, empathy, and nonviolent communication interactively. Last of all, amplifying these marginalized voices that we often talk about. Youth who lack traditional power can still influence global debates through digital advocacy campaigns. As the Norwegian sociologist and peace scholar Johan Galtung once said, peace equals the ability to handle conflict with empathy, nonviolence, and creativity. Digital platforms can help build precisely those abilities in our generation.
You only got 4 minutes to save the world.
I will save the world. But I will talk about someone else who did it first. So, as I mentioned, peace journalism in Yemen is a very good example of this. UNESCO trained young journalists in 2023, where they partnered with the Media Association for Peace and RNW Media to train these young Yemeni journalists. Over 5 days, they learned how to report on peace processes fairly, taking into account different sensitivities and promoting dialogue rather than division. In my own home part of the world, in Scandinavian and Nordic countries, Finland is using media literacy education very much in their school systems. These equip young people to critically assess digital content. In Denmark, NGOs use online mentorship programs to connect newcomers with the youth in the country. This is fostering integration and dialogue. These examples demonstrate the potential of digital tools to foster peace, but also highlight that we must invest in education, trust, and inclusivity. So from what we've seen and learned, there are 4 key steps we believe can make a difference. First of all, investing in digital literacy and peace education to equip these young people to spot the misinformation and use the digital tools for dialogue. Second, it's vital to protect civic spaces online, to safeguard expressions, to keep our freedom of expression, but also taking stronger action against harassment, hate speech, and cyberbullying. Third, we should foster partnerships. Governments, NGOs, youth organizations, and tech companies must co-create ethical spaces. And finally, we must support youth-led innovation. Funding and mentoring young people to create more apps, campaigns, and platforms. At the Nordic Youth Platform, which I represent today, we put these principles into practice. Our work combines online and offline activities to empower youth as peace builders. Through our book clubs, we create safe, inclusive spaces where young people from different backgrounds read together. Classics, modern texts, stories of identity, culture, and resistance. Then they reflect and debate. We discuss what literature reveals about power, injustice, empathy, and belonging. These conversations sharpen critical thinking and digital literacy as we compare interpretation and challenge assumptions. In our workshops and career seminars, we bring expert guidance into young people's hands. How to build a CV, how to prepare for a job interview, how to find a career path aligning with your values and strengths, all shaped to fit our modern and digitalized job market. These events are interactive, mixing online strategy gatherings, peer exchange, and hands-on learning, helping youth navigate not just the digital space, but their own future in it. We also organize leadership and integration workshops where we focus on creative expression, personal growth, and mutual understanding. And then we have our membership and social media platform. Here, we don't just broadcast what we do. We use these platforms to amplify youth voices, sharing stories of resilience, celebrating cultural diversity, and pushing forward global campaigns to mobilize members for joint projects. For our blog, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, we invite everyone to contribute, reflect, and act. We are the most digitally connected generation in history. This gives us enormous power, but also enormous responsibility. Together, we can transform our digital connections into real-world peace and show that youth are not only the leaders of tomorrow, but the peace builders of today. Thank you. I will attempt to take 2 questions. One of them was specifically addressed to me, so I'll try to do it in 2 minutes. Is the question correctly understood, Dr. Chioma from Nigeria? Was it the perspective you had, was the question, how can we help youth see this perspective of they can be involved and they can make change, and how to make them believe, or was that the question? Okay. And then the question about the Nordic countries was, yes, we have a very peaceful part of the world, and what are the challenges and opportunities? I would say, as I spoke about these digital tools today, I think digital tools can be understood in many ways. So in terms of education, for example, this could be specifically e-learning, so giving a course online. But digital tools are what's in the name. They're tools. We should be using them as tools if we want to do greater things. So we have actually gotten an upgrade in this sense. And I think in terms of the Nordic countries, what we're seeing right now is that, yes, there is a distinguished difference between Nordic countries and lives up there compared to the rest of the world, but also a lot of people, especially youth, are living 2 lives right now. We have an offline life and we have an online life. And this online life, it does not really have country borders or anything like that. So when we focus on that part, we see that these challenges are actually recurring in many different parts of the world. So that's why we see a lot of need for personal support, for mentorship, for personal guidance, actually. And I would say in the Nordic countries, because they're the part of this connected global online world with one country, basically, of the internet, they share this struggle with other youth around the world. And the opportunities lie in the tools that we use to help the youth with their individual and their personal growth and their personal support. And I would say, how can we help make youth see this change that they can make? I would say I really applaud all of the youth that are here today, both as panelists, but also joining, because we all are sharing this day on Instagram. So this is a very big step. We are showing that youth can do this, and we are showing that we want to do this. This can be fun, this can be great, and I think sometimes we underestimate how much youth are spending time thinking when they're on the internet, but there's a lot of thinking going on, so it's about helping them, just showing what's possible, showing opportunities. Thank you.